says we're still going live. And it says we're live. Let's see how this works today because, oh my goodness, yesterday I got the blue screen of death and my computer just crashed. And I don't know if it's because I was on YouTube, but there's this tiny itty bitty little part of me that thinks that's the reason why. Because the live thing didn't stop. It just kept going. And I just realized I forgot my phone. I need my phone. It's so far away. Okay, we're gonna go get the phone. Technical difficulties. Be right back. It's already starting. Awesome. See, this is important because I have to do stuff on Twitter and Instagram so that people know that, hey, I'm live today. I actually started early, even though it's late. I planned to be on here at 10:30 so that I could have time to rant. But as you can see, it's 10:50 and I actually have classes in 10 minutes. So you guys can join me. What is today? Today's Tuesday. What class do I have? Introduction to Marketing. I like the teacher. The class is fun. It's much better than the class that I have on Friday, which is Product Development and Innovation. And I don't like the teacher. It's just, you know, I think, no, you know what it is we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're doing classes online. It's not fun for anybody really. And I think a lot of people are stressed and people deal with stress in different ways. And I think that the way that our teacher is dealing with the stress is by taking it out on the students. So on one hand, I can forgive that because I know that I'm not at my best self right now. It's just, oh my goodness. Oh my God, it's just, I get it, really, I do. But also, I also think like he's the type of person I would never want to work with. And the worst thing is that I'm gonna have him again next semester. It's just, he's not a nice teacher. And he's also one of teachers, which should be in quotes, because at our school, they hire some people who aren't teachers. They're just teaching as a side hustle. And instead they have experience in the subject that they're teaching, which is great. But some people, like the teacher that I have, they're not the best type of person to employ because they just don't know how to handle students. And his way of handling stuff is essentially throwing tantrums and threatening us, which that's not how you get employees to work. And I don't know. I don't like saying mean things because it's just, you never know what people are going through. Just still. Let's see. We want to create a reel. Oh, see, I opened this window because normally I just stay in the darkness because I normally don't want to be at school. But see that corner over there, which you can't see here, but you can totally see on this camera. It's where I sort of just throw all the blankets and clothes, and that's sort of messy too. And, how can I do this without showing the messiness of the room? I don't think it's going to be possible. What? It's just 15 seconds. So I'll do this. We'll go up. Oh no, you definitely can see it, but that's okay. I don't like this. We're going to redo it. How do you redo it? No. I don't. I guess we could do something like this. But hey, we are live and you guys can come to school with me for marketing, introduction to marketing. It's a 2-hour class. It's loads of fun. Actually, technically it's 3 hours because there's another hour of the class later. So come join us. Okay, there we go. I have my thingy for, what's it called?
You're live, and you guys can come to school with me.
Yeah,
Marketing.
Look at that.
Introduction to Marketing. It's a 2-hour class. It's loads of fun. Actually, technically, it's another hour of the class later. So, you're live, and you guys can come to school with me for Marketing. Introduction to Marketing.
Voila.
It's a 2-hour class. Loads of.
Now that's uploaded. Share. I suppose now I should probably sign into the classes online once this is done, and then we can do Twitter. And I didn't get enough time to efficiently rant about stuff. After this class, I have the it's International Trade and Payment Procedures, and that's a class that I've learned. It's going to be useless for me in the sense that I will never, ever, ever, ever do anything in international trade and payment procedures because it's all paperwork. In fact, the only useful thing that I learned was that I will hire the people, like the general forwarder or the customs agent, to do all the work for me because I really don't like paperwork. And that's all we do in that class is paperwork. It's not a fun class. She likes it, which is great. It's always awesome when you have a teacher who's very passionate about what they teach. It makes it more enjoyable. But it's also one of those instances where you ever meet somebody that they like something that you really don't like and that just makes them questionable? That's how that teacher is. Like, how can you like paperwork? It's not right. Nobody likes paperwork. That's just weird. Like, who has ever gone through their life and thought, this would have been so much better if there was more paperwork? Nobody, because nobody likes it, but she does. Ugh. Like, really, there are not cares that I can give to a bill of lading. It's just, no. And then I have to know what all the boxes are. It's just, no. I will pass that class, mind you. I have the intention now of passing all my classes. I was really worried about failing, but then I stopped and I thought about it. And if I fail, I'll have to repeat them. And that is motivation enough that I'm going to study my butt off and not fail because, oh my gosh, I cannot redo those classes. I don't like learning the stuff in some of them now. I can't imagine having to repeat it. That would not be fun. I feel like I'm late, even though it's 10:56, and this particular teacher typically is never on time. None of my teachers are on time, except for my accounting teacher, which, by the way, she's going to be stopping by not this Friday, but next Friday. She will come into class like 5 minutes early so that she can chat with us, and then she'll also chat with us during the break, versus all my other teachers are like, no. I'm sure that they like us. It's just my accounting teacher is the best. That's why she got invited on the channel. I'm sure that you guys will enjoy it. She's very likable. She's also very passionate about accounting, and it's, again, one of those situations where she's incredible, but she also really likes numbers. And math has never been a strong point of mine, and it's just one of those situations that I'm happy that she loves what she's teaching, and I also appreciate the fact that she disassembles it in a way that is teachable to somebody like me, because I get it when she breaks it down. And that's great, because accounting is one of the subjects that I really, really wanted to learn, because I think it's the most helpful thing that I've learned this semester so far. But it's also the most intimidating thing, because there's all these account numbers, there's balance sheets, there's payment statements, income statements. It's just all these different paperwork. It's paperwork. That's what it is. And still, I don't like paperwork. But she makes it fun. And I feel like, if nothing else, by the end of this, I should be able to do my own accounting. I don't know if it's going to be correct, and I probably might still want to engage in an accountant who actually knows what they're doing, but I should be able to perhaps do my own, and then they can come in and be like, that's good or not. Ew. Oh, he's actually early. Oh my goodness.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is the audio and video okay this morning?
I always say good morning to the teachers, even though they can't hear me.
We'll wait a couple of more minutes.
It's so weird.
I'll prepare the course and then in a couple of minutes.
And if you got, see, this is what it looks like. He's on chat. And this is unfortunately one of my teachers who absolutely refuses to record his classes, which is just like, okay, no, I'm not even going to say I understand it because I became a student representative and I got to go to the meeting where the teachers got to complain about why they don't want to be on camera, and their reasons are frankly stupid. Because they're worried that the students, if they have recordings, that the students will take those recordings and do weird things with the recording. And I'm there sitting, all they need is OBS and screen caption. Like, if I really wanted this class, I could download the program and just do that and then give it to the fellow students, but I'm too lazy to do that. Like, there's so much work involved to get a recording. Even though I want a recording, I just don't want to do the work for it. It would be so much easier if he would just push a button. It's just, I feel like sometimes the teachers underestimate the sheer laziness that students can be like, because to edit something takes time. We have exams in January. That's what I've been focused on. I mean, I'd have to really hate a teacher to like go out of my way to make some weird recording of them. And I don't hate any of my teachers that much. Like, I can't even begin to imagine the thing that they would have to do for me to be motivated to do something like that. It's just too much work. I wonder if there were slides that was supposed to download. Did he? Yes, he did. Which is it? It's this one. We're doing marketing next place. Oh, fun fact about this teacher is sometimes the material that we learn in this class and the product innovation and development class overlaps. And this teacher explains it better than the other teacher, which makes me so sad for the fact that I don't have him next semester because he teaches in a way that is understandable, unlike the other teacher who didn't and doesn't. Also, by the looks of it, this guy has a really nice house, but it's too bright. It's like I'm dying with all this light right now. It's too bright. I don't like it, guys. I really, like, do you see the brightness? I live in the darkness when it's class time, and I swear I'm a studious student when it comes to studying, but paying attention in class, even if it was in real life, I'd probably be doodling in a notebook and not paying attention because bad student. Ugh. You have to get all comfy now because we're in for the long haul. 2 freaking hours. And I think he's one of the teachers that only gives like a 3-minute break in between classes. And that just, I don't like that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
We're starting.
This is the one but last week of classes, and we still have quite a lot to do. I really want to finish this this course or this lecture with having dealt with all the 7 P's of the marketing mix. So today we'll be hopefully going quite far with handling place or distribution channels as the third P of the 7. Then we have marketing, communication, or promotion to handle. And then finally, it's the last 3 of them. With regards to that, the last 3 is only a small chapter. So we'll be see if I'm preparing that in English. It could be that I will be putting some audio on that final chapter. If we don't have time to deal with that next week, it will be online as soon as possible. Perhaps later this week I will put some audio on it. It's a very short chapter. I think there's only about 20 slides with some commercials and little films. So it could be that we are not going to hand that during class, but the information is not complicated. It's not in the handbook, so it's just following my 20 slides of information, and then you'll be having that. So, but we'll see about that depending on how far we get today or this week. Again, one final call for the semester paper. I've been speaking to some of you over the last couple of days. If there's any questions, do not hesitate to ask me. I see that quite a lot of you're really putting the effort in the paper. Some of you are, sometimes I have the impression, just starting. So that will mean you have a lot of work ahead of you. The only thing I would ask you is don't let your teammates down. Later this week you will have the rules of the game for the peer assessment, but just make sure that you're not putting your team into any difficulties or any problems if you are not doing the work you've agreed to do from all sides. Okay, so but if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. There might be a couple of things you don't understand with regards to how the paper has been described. If you hesitate, just send me a mail, and I try to reply within 12 or 24 hours. Okay, last week we finished the chapter on pricing. So today we are going to handle marketing mix, place or distribution channels. In your book, it is chapters 12 and 13. As far as I know, my colleague Benny will be handling or is handling them already. So I'll go briefly. The only thing I want you to know basically is what we discuss in the PowerPoints. So there's more information in the book, but that is for the course management or marketing management. I think it's 1 or 2 for you. So don't go into the same depth for my course as for my colleagues' course. What is important about distribution is probably these couple of quotes. Don't push people to where you can find them or where you want them to be, but meet them where they are. Okay, and that's a quote by Megan Anderson from HubSpot, and it's absolutely right. You're not going to sell any product or service if you are not meeting your ideal or target customers where they go. So nowadays, marketing is or distribution is not just about offering a product, but just offering it where your ideal clients are to be found. Okay. On top, there's another one. Most businesses actually get 0 distribution channels to work, and it's a very often the poor distribution choices one make that is the number one cause of failure, and not always the product. And especially in these changing times with hybrid systems and e-commerce, etc., social media, I see that a lot of companies are struggling with their conventional or distribution or normal distribution channels. So it doesn't work anymore how we used to distribute our products and services like 15 or 10 years ago. It no longer works in the same way. And then the last one, having a great idea for a product is important, but having a great idea for product distribution is even more important, and it's the same thing. Just make sure that the people you want to approach or you want to touch with your product or service, make sure that you find them and that you all do all the effort needed for them to find you and to get in communication with you. We've been dealing with that previously. Okay, now distribution with regards to marketing and marketing mix is not the same thing as distribution in a logistic or transportation or supply chain point of view. So it's not shipping a product from A to B. What we are dealing here with place or distribution in the marketing context we're dealing with here is making sure that the right products are available at the right time, at the right price. That's what we saw previous week, in the best possible place for your target audience, and all that at the lowest possible costs. This definition is about 99.9% of what distribution is about. We know by consumer insights, by market research, market analysis, competition analysis, what the right products or services are that our target audience wants. We have consumer insights. We know how our target audiences, where they look, where they buy, who they talk to, etc., etc. And now is the moment to decide how do you get that product or service to be available at the right time, at the right price, at the right spot, and that's ideally at the lowest possible cost. Deciding on a distribution system has a big impact on your organization. If you go direct to consumer, which we will handle later on in this chapter, if you cut out all the wholesalers and all the retailers, and you go direct to your end customer, or you decide to work through wholesalers and distribution partners and retail partners, it has a huge impact on how you organize your company or your organization. Whether you're a charity, not for profit organization, or a commercial organization, it really doesn't matter. If you look today at charity, for instance, people are not going out because of Corona. So you see that a lot of charities who are collecting money and doing activities for, to help people, they have difficulties in getting the funds and getting the message out because their distribution channel and of course also their communication channels are not adequate to the situation we have today. Okay, how do you deliver a product? A question to the group. We all know Coca-Cola. Can somebody tell me how Coca-Cola company distributes its products? How it's finally being distributed or offered to the final end customer? And if you could put your answers on the chat, that would be helpful.
Don't they distribute it themselves? Because I know that they have like proper Coca-Cola trucks.
They don't distribute themselves. No, up till this year, they didn't have any direct contact with the end consumer.
Really?
Okay.
Maybe
The
that's
trucks,
just in Europe.
some of them are their own, but a lot of the trucks, Coca-Cola trucks, are not owned by Coca-Cola. And Noemi, you're right, retailers are important. Supermarkets, the large ones, the night shops, etc., etc. All that, all these
Pepsi's better.
of marketplaces are used by Coca-Cola. What else? Apart from retailers, just a couple of them. on the slide. Entertainment or movie theaters, and I will. I've a number of things on the slide. The next one, but entertainment. It's parks. It's movie theaters. Absolutely right, Kiana. Restaurants. Everything with regards to catering. Restaurants, pubs, fast food restaurants, hotels. Festivals, concerts, and now schools is something they do through the vending machines. You know, the soft is something Coca-Cola started in 1949. They were part of the companies inventing vending machines or soft drink machines. But basically, these are the most important distribution channels Coca-Cola uses. In other words, they don't sell directly to the end customer. It's always done through a channel or a chain or a product or a technology. So in theory, no direct sales from Coca-Cola Company to each and every individual one of us. Okay, so they only go through indirect distribution channels, wholesalers, retailers, catering industry, supermarkets, entertainment, soft and vending machines. Some of the vending machines, Anna, they I don't think they own a lot of vending machines. They were part of the companies introducing or developing that technology. I don't think the vending machines you see on, I know the vending machines you see on the campus are not owned by Coca-Cola. And then basically the question is, why should they? What's the added value for Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta to own vending machines on a university campus? There's no added value. They don't want to have staff doing maintenance jobs or filling these vending machines every week or every 2 days or whatever. It is something Coca-Cola doesn't want to do, and if I were in their place, I wouldn't either. What Coca-Cola also has developed is they have an exclusive contract with McDonald's. Everybody who goes to McDonald's probably is not aware, but you know you can only get Coca-Cola Company drinks. You can't buy Pepsi or Dr. Pepper when you go to McDonald's. So they have a worldwide contract with Coca-Cola for distributing Coca-Cola beverages at their sales point, at the Coca-Cola, at the McDonald's sales points. Okay. Same thing with movie theaters. Kinepolis has a contract with Coca-Cola about using or distributing Coca-Cola beverages at the theaters. Okay. Now, I said in the beginning, this was until this year. What I noticed just a couple of weeks ago, and this is, I went back to an article of April this year, but it was confirmed just the other week. Coca-Cola Company worldwide has seen their sales figures dropping enormously because of Corona. The catering channel that they use for distributing their beverages is going through rough times. Restaurants are closed, pubs are closed, hotels are closed, movie theaters don't work, entertainment parks don't see any visitors, etc., etc. So basically, the whole takeaway and taking and going out distribution channel is not functioning for the moment. Supermarkets are doing fine, but the sales in supermarkets of Coca-Cola drinks is not making up for the losses of Coca-Cola revenue in the takeaway or takeout or catering services. So what Coca-Cola has decided early this year is really to reevaluate their marketing budgets and their marketing efforts, and they will really do some reorganization in their marketing strategy. And they are looking into how they can use direct to consumer, so without wholesalers or without retailers. And if that can be a solution for the future, and also they are looking into business to home as a new distribution channel. Think of the Deliveroo's and the Uber Eats. Yeah, is that a possibility that you can buy your Coca-Cola drinks from a wholesaler or from a bottler and then directly get them delivered at your place without needing to go to the supermarket or to a night shop or whatever? Yeah, so this is something interesting we'll have to look into the next couple of years, because this is probably going to be a experiment that Coca-Cola is going to do for the next couple of years, reviewing their traditional or conventional distribution channels that they have been working with for for many decades. Okay, some basic theory. I think we can go quite quickly on that. The distribution ecosystem exists of two basic things. There's a channel and there's distribution links. And the distribution channel or chain is a group, or I like to call it an ecosystem, of interdependent organizations working together to deliver and supply a product or a service to a customer. So you have Coca-Cola bottlers in Ghent, for example, or in south of Brussels. They have a contract with Coca-Cola Atlanta that they can bottle and produce Coca-Cola. They get the ingredients, they get the syrup. They don't get the secret formula for the syrup. That syrup is delivered by Coca-Cola US, but then they can make the finished product and start distributing that. And for that distribution, Coca-Cola Ghent in Belgium has different systems, different partners. Okay, and these partners or different organizations, we call them distribution links. They're kind of middlemen or intermediaries, individual, and sometimes they have connections with each other. Sometimes they are completely independent, operating, without any mutual or common objectives. So you have the chain, the whole combination, the ecosystem, and then you have the link. There's a final remark I want to add to that. In some literature that you might be reading, you might read that a distribution link is directly related to an effective transfer of ownership. Let me first explain that. I absolutely disagree with that thesis. What I mean here, when they talk about effective transfer of ownership, is that a company is becoming a distribution link when they buy a product from or a service from another one. So there's a transfer, they pay for something, they get the product in replace, so there's a transfer of ownership, and then they go on, they add value, they package it differently, and they bring it to the next link or to the consumer. I absolutely disagree with that. Just think of insurance agents or travel agents or what have you in services. An insurance agent or a broker, insurance broker, they don't buy like 1,000 car policies at the beginning of a year. They don't pay that insurance company and then they try to get, to sell them to the end user. It doesn't work like that. If I'm an insurance broker and I have a question with regards to a mortgage or with regards to a car policy, car insurance, then I will go in the market and I will look into a number of insurance policies that are available to me and that I can, suggest to my customers. It's only when the customer decides to sign up for an insurance policy from a certain insurance company that I can sign for them, and the customer signs, and then they start paying. Yeah. There's no transfer previous to that. The insurance broker is not having a number of insurance policies on his desk that he needs to sell. Same with the travel agency. You go into an independent travel agency and you will probably have a couple of hundred travel organizers, holiday organizers, where that travel agents can choose from. And depending on where you want to go, what your budget is, etc., he or she will offer you a number of possibilities, and then at the end of the day, you make a choice. Yeah, you sign a contract, and they inform the travel organizer that they have bought something for them, and they get a commission on that. But a travel agency doesn't have any trips or holidays in stock that they need to get rid of. Okay, so that's, to me, quite an important difference. I think in some of the literature, which is still being published today, it's more like old school, more a product oriented organization where there's a transfer, you pay something for an amount of products, and then you go on by adding value, creating value on top of these basic products to sell them to the end users. Okay, that's a remark I'd like to make. This is an overview or a scheme of a very conventional, traditional distribution channel with the manufacturer or producer on top. Then you have wholesaler, retailers, and the end consumer. And the length of your distribution channel is defined by the number of intermediate distribution links just discussed. A wholesaler is clearly all sales and supply activities to other wholesalers and retailers, and a retailer is in theory all the person or the link that does all the sales and supply activities towards the end customer. In the modern economy we're in today, we see a growing role and even a dominant role played by online sales and distribution activities.
Yeah, taking over the world.
We'll see later in this chapter that online or e-commerce is more and more putting question marks on the role of a wholesaler or a retailer. So we'll be talking about that. Direct to consumer is one of the trends we can link to that. And then finally,
okay, so we're gonna put down the volume a bit because I want to rant. Because I love the introduction to marketing class. I really do. There's lots of theory that I think anybody who's on YouTube or on Twitter or who's trying to do any indie type of selling, whether it's books or some type of art form, then these are things that little pieces that you gathered along the way. And I'm thankful for this class because while I know a lot of it, I didn't understand the theory before. And now that I know the theory, I understand it so much better. The thing that I don't agree when it comes to this whole class is that it focuses so much on the theory and what I would call old school way of doing things, that one of the things I was hoping that we would focus on a bit more is social media and how you don't necessarily need to have these big budgets for marketing because you essentially have all these different platforms where you can market yourself for free. And one of the subjects that we covered is finding your audience and how you need to invest all this market research and blah, 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 when the reality, at least as I see it, is you don't need to do that. You can do your own research by going into the markets that you want to infiltrate and just getting to know them And honestly, it's not that hard, because if you're somebody that, say, I don't know, likes to read, people who read will like books. People who like books buy books. So if you get to know the people who like to read and buy books, you're going to know your market. And if you know your market, you can sell more effectively to it. But do we learn any of this? No. Instead, we focus on all these big corporations and conglomerates like Coca-Cola. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Coca-Cola is doing great. But I'm 100%, and this isn't me being humble, it's just reality, I'm not at Coca-Cola's level. And frankly, I don't have, I'm going to say, the determination or even motivation to get at that level. I just would like to do something where I can do what I like, which is editing videos, putting content online, writing books, maybe even starting up some services where I can help other people accomplish what they want on a low budget, or like in some way for free, like I've been trying to do. And I just want to make enough money that I can make a living and be comfortable. That's it. I don't need this gigantic profit where I have this huge conglomerate like McDonald's or Coca-Cola or any of the other businesses that we've been discussing. And I say businesses like that because this course is supposed to be entrepreneurship. And I think one of the basics of entrepreneurs is that you're starting off from zero. And yet all of our case studies are companies that are way past zero. Just way past zero. Just, it's, yeah. I'm done ranting. We can go back to class now.
A lot of things on the scene. Okay, some examples of direct and indirect and short and long. To the left, you see a direct channel, producer to end consumer channel 1. And I call that a direct one. I have added the brand Dell and Dell Computers.
Another big company.
Were until
Who's
a couple
Dell?
of years ago a company that had 100% business to business, business to government business approach, and they only worked direct. So their business model was marketing and sales and delivery was done directly from Dell to the end consumer. They had online teams, they had sales.
Oh, also, another sort of pet peeve about this course is that everything that we talk about is typically tech or like food based. There's no like product or service based, which would be so much more useful for somebody like me who wants to go into publishing in some way, shape, or form. Because, I mean, I understand that a book is a product, but the way that you handle a book is going to be significantly different than if you're creating some piece of technology. And I know how to do that now, thankfully. However, I have no motivation to come up with some new technology or to make some type of new anything. That's not my thing. It isn't. But power to the people who want to do that. But I also wish that we could sort of focus on something more tangible than just, okay, well, this is what you do if you have food, and this is what you do if you have technology. Because I really don't want to do either of those things. But the nice thing is that in I think it's 3 years, or maybe it's the second year. I don't know. Whenever we do our big business project, I'm going to slay it. Only because I'll probably be the only person that really goes hardcore on the social media and trying to find the market so people will buy our products and we'll get like 100%, which won't happen because we live in Belgium and you don't get 100% or like 20 points in Belgium. You aim for half. And that's just what I'm looking for now. It's like, what's the point of stressing and trying to get 20 points when realistically they're just not going to give it to you unless it's math, apparently.
For months between wholesalers and
back to class
before it gets to your table. So especially when we see that kind of products, it's more like an indirect short distribution chain that is set up. The same thing we see with cars or with watches, for example. They are luxury products, expensive, or products with limited stocks. The producer decides then to have a selective or exclusive distribution system. And then finally, it's the indirect long ones. It's what we see with products such as Pampers or Coca-Cola drinks, beverages. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of links involved in the whole chain of distributing that product.
Yeah.
In a couple of slides later, we will talk about the couplet model. Couplet model combines product groups with buying effort and distribution effort. So we'll be talking shortly about convenience goods and shopping goods, etc., in a distribution context. Okay, small exercise, and I forgot to translate the slide 20. Looking at these three products, and the question is, what kind of structure do we see here? If you go to let's go to Rolls-Royce. Is that a direct or indirect, and a short or a long? My typos there, sorry, 2 typos.
I know nothing about cars.
Rolls-Royce what kind of structure of the distribution channel do we see here?
Isn't it direct because the car is made in the factory and then the car is sold at the
We'll go back to this one. It might help you.
I mean, that's just a guess.
Rolls-Royce, and Marie says it's indirect long. Who disagrees with her?
I already forget what indirect long is. I would say it's direct short.
Nobody? Okay, Barry, could you put on your microphone, please, and explain to us why you think this is an indirect and long structured distribution channel?
Do you listen to me?
Yeah, we hear you, yeah.
Okay. Because I think like when you have to build cars, you have like many parts that needs to be put together. So
okay, but now we're talking about the supply chain. It's about getting all the parts to the Rolls-Royce factory where they make the car. When we're talking about distribution, it is getting the product to the end consumer. So I will rephrase my question. When a car is built by Rolls-Royce in the UK, and when it is then delivered to the customer, how many links do you think there are in the whole distribution channel? So we're not talking about parts that needs to be delivered to the production site.
Okay. I'm hesitating between 3 or 4 actually.
It's even shorter. If you look into Belgium, for example, as far as I know, Belgium has only one Rolls-Royce car dealer. And I will come back to what Anna says and what Jennifer says, because both are wrong. Rolls-Royce has a indirect short distribution channel. Why is it indirect? Because Rolls-Royce sells its cars through a number of car dealers. There is a Rolls-Royce car dealer in Belgium. There's 1 or 2. They are not Rolls-Royce owned car dealerships. Okay, so the people who sell Rolls-Royce in Belgium, they also sell other exclusive car brands, but they are not Rolls-Royce owned. So that's the reason why it is indirect, okay? And it is short because they only have 1 or 2 in Belgium, compared to what we see with BMW or with Peugeot, who have hundreds of car dealers in different car dealers in Belgium, but there's always There's always, how would I say, there's no other ones involved. What you see, for example, when you talk about BMW or Audi, you have the production side, then you have a wholesaler, the importer of a car, and then you have the retailers, which are the car dealerships, basically. But with regards to like exclusive cars like Bentley or Ferrari or
how do they not own their own dealership?
Really expensive cars, it's indirect and it's short. If we go to the hairdresser to the left, and we're not talking about any products that are sold at a hairdresser's store or shop, but we're really talking about the activity.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this whole section is making me confused, and I feel like he's made it way more difficult than it needs to be. Distribution, which I can't spell. Distribution channels. Let's look that up.
It is direct, very absolutely. You have to know it's not direct short. It's simply direct. It's I'm a hairdresser and I have somebody in my store and I will do the services she needs or he needs, which is shaving or cutting or coloring their hair. There's no in between links. So
go to
I'm talking
types.
about the activity of doing somebody's hair. Right? I'm not talking about selling any products. When you go to your hairdresser, you usually can buy some of the products, like shampoo or any kind of products. Then that hairdresser becomes a retailer for a shampoo product. Okay, but with regards to her hairdressing activity, doing your hair, cutting your hair, shaving your beard, it's a direct situation, a direct structured channel. I'm a hairdresser and you are my client. Okay, and then finally, when we go to Dove, what kind of distribution channel or structure do we see with regards to the Dove products?
See, for me, that's indirect.
These are indirect, long. I have no idea how many links there are between the producer.
I still don't understand how it's indirect for Rolls-Royce. How do they not own their own dealerships? That just makes no sense.
Under my shower, I have no idea how many wholesalers and retailers are involved. But clearly, it will be quite a lot. Okay, some types of distribution.
Aren't they like an expensive car brand?
But I'll keep it quite briefly. One,
this is why they shouldn't ask me about cars. I know nothing.
Systems, VMS channels. The one we're already talked about is the conventional distribution channel, where you have one or more independent producers, wholesalers, retailers, with or without an effective transfer of ownership over goods and services. Each and every one working, for their own company. I'm writing something down. Sorry. So every link in that conventional distribution channel has its own business plan, its own marketing goals. They want to maximize profit, win market share, etc., etc. So, in other words, retailers and wholesalers in a conventional distribution channel system don't have any control over each other. They have no common goals. There's no formal assigning of any roles nor channel conflict policies. If I am let's say we are all hairdressers, and if I am a hairdresser who decides to sell in my barbershop a certain product that you are selling as well, we become competitors, and that producer, he really doesn't care if there's 5 of us selling that product, or if we are 50. He just wants to throw that product in the market, has a very large access to the end consumer, and he doesn't mind if he's using 10 hairdresser stores or barber stores, or 100 or 5 or 50. So we have no control about each other. We have no common goals. We only have our own business goals. And there's no formal agreement on roles or channel conflicts. Okay, so quite old school convention. Then there's something we call the marketing, the classical vertical marketing system. There's different links in different distribution links, producers, wholesalers, retailers, acting in a unified system. So there's one channel. But perhaps I could explain it with, let's talk about AB InBev, the beer brewer out of Leuven. They brew beer. They own a number of pubs.
They have
a number of pubs which they don't own, but to whom they sell their
InBev is one of the five top breweries that own like all the beer,
just like
all over the world.
Coca-Cola, that you can have access to the whole product range of AB InBev, but you cannot sell any products from other breweries. So you have to pick your choice of products out of our full product range. So there's some kind of
honestly, if you use more examples of beer, I'd probably understand it better, if I'm honest.
Runs the whole thing. In this case, AB InBev. They have contracts with the different.
Because his examples for virtual marketing system is TUI, don't know what that is. Thomas Cook, don't know what that is. And some insurance companies, but there aren't specific ones. And the issue is that there is a chance that the insurances in Belgium may or may not work the same way as insurance companies in the US. So that does not help me at all because I don't know how insurance works here. Because are we talking like car insurance, medical insurance, some type of other insurance? Because I can tell you if it's medical insurance, I don't understand how that works here. It's magic. Just complete and utter magic. Like, I broke my foot a while ago, and it cost me 30 euros to go to the emergency room. And without insurance, it was 190 euros, which I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And what are they called? The crutches that I got, which were supposed to cost me 10 euros, I don't think they actually charged me the 10 euros for those. So that was awesome. Unless somebody got in trouble for that, in which case I feel bad.
Autonomy on deciding on prices, for example, on reductions. In some cases, my insurance broker can even, if I have, for example, a small accident and there's something wrong with there's some damage to my car, or I have a water problem in my house, a leak, and I have, a limited amount of damage. She can actually decide for the insurance company to accept the damage and pay for the damage without an inspector needs that, without the fact that an inspector needs to come by my house and check the damage to my house or to my car. Okay, so that's vertical marketing systems. Different links are working in that system, in that ecosystem, and sometimes
I'm not even concentrating that hard because I'm talking with a friend.
Run or managed by that company. Some examples.
I swear, like nothing has changed since I've gone to university, because I remember back in the day when we were supposed to be paying attention during class, I never did that. I passed notes to my friends, and I do the exact same thing, only the notes is via Instagram, because we're high tech now. That's it.
These are franchises who are entitled to sell the cars in that specific manufacturer.
Okay, so I was talking with my friend. We got on the topic of cars because we were just talking about Rolls Royce, and I was saying I don't have one of those talking about luxury cars, and I said, mine is blue, it's the diamond one, whatever that is. To which she replied, the diamond one, laugh. Wait, I'm thinking about what brand it is, probably Renault, and I was like, that's it. I have a French car, which I bought in Belgium, which makes it better than buying a French car in France, because the last car I got in France was a lemon. Oh, okay, we're still talking about cars. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to talking with my friend.
The manufacturers franchise system. I have given you an example of license spotters. That's what that's the example that goes best with that. And then finally, you have the service sponsored retailer system. Think travel business, think hotels, think car rental stores. If you go to rent a car from Vives or Europcar or what have you, Sixt, be sure that, I can assure you that more than 80% or 70% of these car rental stores are not owned by the rental company, the car rental company. Avis will definitely have a number of their own car dealerships or car rent dealerships, probably at airports or at very important places where there's a lot of volume going on. They try to keep them to themselves. But the majority of these car rental stores are just franchisers, independent owned companies using Europcar or Avis contracts. Same with hotels. A lot of the hotels we go to are not owned by the hotel brand. If you go to a Novotel or an Ibis hotel from the Accor group, in the large majority of the cases, you will go and spend some days in a hotel that is not owned by Accor, but owned by an individual hotel owner or a investor or a group of investors and whose activity is.
I've also never heard of Accor.
We will be seeing that in the next couple of months, that hotels who are now called a Novotel or an Ibis hotel or a Holiday Inn hotel, they will change names and they might become SCS hotels, or they might become NH hotels. You will see that these franchisees will in some cases change and go to another franchise organization, and someday we will find a new name to a hotel which we know, for example, as a Novotel or a Holiday Inn hotel, and that might become a Novotel in the coming months. So typical franchise systems. Then we have horizontal marketing systems, quite easy to explain or understand. Basically, the idea is stronger together. It's one or two or more companies working together using their strengths to create a new business or marketing opportunity. They combine financial means, production capacity, research and development, marketing efforts, etc. Best example I can give you now is the combination of Philips and Douwe Egberts, a electro producer and a coffee making company, creating coffee pads and creating Senseo brands, and entering the market together. Other examples are sometimes long-lasting, sometimes shorter periods of time, sometimes with a separate legal entity, but where companies work together in complex situation or really big situations. We saw in Belgium, for example, two telecom providers, Orange from French Telecom and Proximus, the Belgian player, who at some years ago decided to create a new company to jointly set up the 5G networks, because they realized that every one of them was too small and had too limited means and resources to set up the 5G network alone. So they decided to work together, and then we saw that Telenet, the third telecom provider in Belgium, realized they were kind of missing the train or missing the boat, and they decided to step in that joint venture. Another example is what we see very often in general roadworks, major roadworks around Antwerp, the whole huge work that has to be done to get mobility or transportation get more fluid around Antwerp. This is something that no single company can manage on its own, and they don't want to manage on its own. So they create temporary companies where forces are joined. Okay. A strong example or a good example is what we see very often with two Belgian dredging companies, Demi and Jan de Nul. They are absolute market leaders worldwide, and they are competitors of each other. But in some projects and huge projects we've seen in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, etc., or in Asia, these two companies decided to jointly make a price offer and jointly execute the project because it's too dangerous, it's too risky, it's too complicated, or they don't have enough resources.
Okay, seriously, I'm like so brain dead right now that he's been talking about something, and I swear I was listening, but it went in one ear and it went out the other because I don't know what he said. Oh, hello. Oh, Vuurkoning, that's Fire King. I speak Dutch. Awesome. Your name is more interesting than what I'm learning about in school right now because, oh my gosh.
In international contexts, or really complex situations. For example,
Je bent Belgisch. Cool. Ik ben niet Belgisch. Ik ben Amerikaans. Hello.
To start developing China as a new market. Think of Janssen Pharmaceutica, the Belgian pharmaceutical company, part of Johnson & Johnson. Very strong in China, but
awesome.
Because they decided from the beginning to have a strong joint venture with Chinese companies, helping them to develop their business in China. Okay. And then we have the hybrid marketing system.
Oh man, I feel bad for you now. I have like this week where I can sort of relax a bit, and then next week I'm getting all of the crap together for all my classes so that the week after that I can start studying and my life will just be so just because it's just going to be studying for 2 weeks. And that's not cool that in Belgium that you guys have this thing where you give us Christmas break, but it's not a break. It's just study. Oh, you're already in it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, congrats on finishing your 4th. My exam period doesn't start until January, and it's just 3 weeks of not fun. So I think in total I have 9 exams. And one of them's in German, which, oh, that's going to be my worst class because I'm learning German in Dutch. And my Dutch isn't that great. Oh, you're done before Christmas starts. Oh my gosh. You'll get to enjoy your Christmas break. I'll be studying. Freaking out. But I think afterwards we have 1 or 2 weeks off, maybe. Maybe it's just a week. I don't know. But then we get to start the whole process over again, except for like the 3 classes or 4 that I have that are year classes. So the tests that we take this midterm don't count for my whole grade. And hopefully I don't fail them, so fingers crossed. Next week. Thursday. Oh, well then, fingers crossed. I'll say break a leg. I don't know if it's bad luck to say like the good luck or whatnot. So I won't do that. How are they so early though? Like, because presumably you started in September. Unless they're not midterms. Are they only half classes? Or are all your classes full year classes? Because I have a total of 10 classes that I'm taking, and out of the 10, like 4 are full year classes and 6 of them are only a semester class, and then my whole schedule changes next semester and it sucks. Ah, you're still in high school. Or yeah, the Hochschule. Okay. That's how it is. Oh yeah. Cause the school system is completely different over here. Cause technically I'm in high school. Cause ik ga naar Vives and that is in Hochschule. But it's not a high school like I know a high school because it's a college. And I would say you're in a high school, but you're not because it's the secondary school. But that's awesome that you know the differences like that. So round of applause because I struggle with that. People ask me, what grade are your children in? And it's easy now because they're in the elementary school. But I still don't know what they're in. I think I just say they're in 2nd grade or 1st grade, but I don't know what it is in Dutch. So that's amazing that you know that already. So presumably you're going to school online as well, maybe, because I know that for the younger students, in the elementary school will say they're going to school because the government understands that parents can't watch them. And then I think everybody else is doing school. You're not doing school online. Why aren't you at school then? Oh. I don't get to go to school. I'm stuck online. Okay, well, if you go to school, why aren't you at school? Oh, so are you on break then? That's fun. Oh, okay, so you're in the exam period now, so then you take your exam and then you're just done for the day. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I'll have that in January. Yeah. So you're using me as a reason not to study. You should go study for your other exams. Hello. I can't see your name. It's Jinda. Oh yeah, I guess it is lunchtime. I don't get lunch until 1 o'clock. See, I thought they had our lunch so late because Belgians didn't know when the correct time to eat was. And it doesn't look like he's giving us a break either. Oh my goodness. I might seriously just die. Oh my goodness. Well, I normally eat my lunch at 11. Like 11 or 12 if I would be permitted to choose when to eat. It would be like maybe even 11:30. I eat early. But this class started at 11. And it's not finished until 1. And they only gave me an hour to eat at school. That's not enough time to eat. It's not fun. Okay, yes, I approve of when you eat. That's a normal time. It's very normal. I approve. Now the question is, do you eat hot or cold in the afternoon? And then how does that change what you'll eat in the evening? because that's apparently a whole thing here that I learned about. That if you eat hot in the afternoon, you're supposed to eat cold at dinner or vice versa. And that's not something I ever thought about before in my life. I just ate. Yeah, I eat cold in the morning during the weekdays, sometimes hot on the weekends if I'm not being lazy and I'm going to cook something, and then cold in the middle of the day unless there are leftovers, in which it's hot, and then hot in the evening. So what exams do you have left? Are they difficult exams? I'm really lucky with our exams that the harder ones are sort of at the end of the exam period. Okay, so for Jinda,
between your cost price and your
I'm not sure if you can hear.
There's room for profit. The more partners you have, the more people there are, links there are that want a part of that.
But as you can hear, hopefully, this is my introduction to marketing, and it's all in English. I'm in the English-based business management and entrepreneurship at Vives University in Kortrijk. And so in answer to your questions, there are programs in English. You just sort of have to find them. I'd say if you're looking for a specific university, if you're not interested in business, which come to Vives, Leuven University has a lot of English-based programs. I know there's also some hogeschool, which is sort of equivalent to like a college more than a university. You sort of just have to look, but if you want information, I can also help with that, because just because they're English-based programs doesn't mean that you'll be able to find the information in English. It's weird. You have physics tomorrow. Oh gosh. And chemistry, French, and then Dutch. And English today, math yesterday, mechanics last Friday, and is that just electricity? Like, I know what it is, I just can't think of how to translate that. Are you in the scientific route? Because that seems like the S. Yeah.
These are a couple of
political science.
Companies shortening or reviewing their distribution channels.
Okay, Jinda, if you want to, you can direct message me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. You can choose, just tell me which one you choose. Preferably Instagram and not Facebook, because I don't check Facebook that often. Leuven is the one that you really want to look at.
Offering that individual coffee drinker the quality of coffee he or she could.
Because when I was looking into it, that was the university that seemed to have the most available, unless I'm confusing it for something else.
So they are kind of
I'm checking now.
How they will get to the market. Bottom there is fresh local products.
Discover our programs. And you want political science.
Or retailers are taking out of
okay, what is political science?
Distribution chain in the food industry, and then they'll.
Because another thing that you need to think about is that sometimes, like degrees that we would have in
consumer markets
in English don't necessarily, we're going to say, translate into a diploma over here in Belgium.
12:07.
Oh.
12.
Okay, cool. We are taking a break, so I can ignore him and not feel bad. It's here. IW, I don't know what that is. Industrial silence. No, I've never heard of that. Okay, so political science is a social science. Yeah, Leuven has a bunch of degrees that you can try for in English. Let me, KU Leuven. That's it, you can type that into Google. That's actually the university that I wanted to go to, except it's too far away from where I live because it's on the other side of Belgium, which, yes, Belgium isn't that big, but it was too far away to go. But they had a very interesting faculty of economics and business. And I don't think their business really had that many English programs, but you sort of have to look. But I will talk to some of the people that I know in Belgium and see if they know of any political science thingies. And then if you direct message me, I can tell you what I find. Do you want to become, I can speak English. Do you want to become an electrician? Do you want to become an electrician then? Because also I know that, well, I learned this, that in Belgium you have like universities, which are supposed to be schools for, we'll say scientific and medical professions. So like a doctor, maybe a lawyer, things like that. Then you have hogeschool, which is where you sort of learn just everything else. And then you have like a vocational school, which is where you learn, what would you call them? Like apprenticeship type things. So in the US, an electrician and all that would be a vocational type direction. Oh, an engineer. You can be, everybody makes fun of the engineer. Like, I understand that's a thing in the science community. I don't know if you've experienced that. Oh, okay. I would go into cars because I feel like there's so much fun things that you can do with cars, and I think the car industry is going in such a direction in just moving to clean technology that if I had any motivation in that, that's what I would want to do. I don't know if that's what you're looking to do, but I think it sounds fun in my head, except I don't like anything about cars myself. It's, yeah, sort of like computers. Like, computers are cool, but there are people who like to build them, which is awesome for them, but not my thing. And hello to Shane from Australia. What's up? Oh, well then become an engineer. And yeah, if your dad's already an engineer, you should totally go that route, because then he'll have connections and networking will be so much easier because your dad knows people. So yeah, be like, Daddy, introduce me to people. Because networking is the most important part of anything that you do in life, really. Because when you know people, they can hook you up. Oh, you're from Antwerp. My best friend Claire, who is an American, she was on my channel on Friday for an interview, if you're interested. She lives in Antwerp, and we got to talk about all the funny stereotypes that exist about Antwerp. And I got to learn that I live in the parking lot, which is something I didn't know before. Vliegheid advertiser. Okay, I don't know what that first word is. Oh, you're making me work on Dutch. That's awesome. Okay, let's go Dutch to English. Oh yeah. Yeah, because it's like the safety belt. I was thinking it looked familiar. Shane, you are such a good person going to bed at a decent hour. I aim to go to bed at like 10 o'clock every day, and then it never happens. It's sort of like I meant to start the stream at 10:30, and then it didn't really start until like 11:50. Because, or not 11:50, 10:50, because I was dragging my feet. Okay, safety advisor. Yes, I understand that. Okay, so then what type of engineer do you want to be? Because there are many ways I could see engineering going, because it's an umbrella term. I'm procrastinating on YouTube. See, I do the same thing, only my procrastination happens on Instagram, because, man, some of the things on Instagram are really interesting. It's like there are people who show how to do pretty nails, and I saw that there are nails that light up, and it just blew my mind. I don't understand how that worked. I mean, obviously there's like some type of lighting system underneath the nail, but all I kept thinking is that's just asking to have yourself electrocuted. I mean, it probably doesn't happen to those people, but that's where my mind goes, that once you start putting like electric stuff on your body, you get electrocuted and you die. Oh, looks like class is starting back up again. I really don't feel like paying attention. On the bright side, there's only 45 minutes left, and then it starts again at 1 with an even worse class, to be frank. It's the International Trade and Payment Procedures class. What do you want to do with cars?
If you look at the model, let's go first to the model, the Copeland model. Looking at the why.
So do you just want to be the employee there? Do you want to own your own mechanic shop? See, this is how business mindset I am. You probably want to play with the cars and repair them. And I'm like, I could own the whole lot of car, what are they called, dealerships. But that's a whole other mindset, I think. But I'm studying business. That's why I'm thinking that way. Oh, hello. Come. You can't see, but looky, Tuna's here. Say hello, Tuna. The internet really likes cats. They'll like you. Tuna normally only comes and visits me when I'm studying law on Mondays. That seems to be my only class that she likes. Okay, so you want the manager position. Well, I think I'm trying to think of who I know. I don't know anybody, but I will look around. I became really close friends with my mechanic at the dealership in the last town that I lived at because my car was a piece of crap that would break down almost every month. Thankfully, they fixed it, but it was also one of those situations that I couldn't believe that they fixed it because I had the car for almost 10 years, maybe 8, when I was living in France, and I took it to the mechanics in France, and they were like, we don't know what the problem is, so we're just going to reset the system. And then the system would break again, and they were like, we don't know how to fix it, we're just going to reset the system. And then I came to Belgium, and they were like, yeah, so this is the problem, we have to replace this piece. I was like, cool, let's replace that piece. And luckily it was still under warranty, so I didn't have to pay. And then it fixed that one problem. But then I think the car was just really old because things kept breaking. Well, that's good that you don't want to be a lazy manager. But I would say that in order to be a good manager, you have to communicate. So work on your communication skills. Because just from personal experience, that's my biggest problem with managers, is that they don't know how to communicate and they just yell at you. To shop in Holland. Well, as long as it gets fixed. That's what's important. Though I will say that I have more faith in a Belgian mechanic than a French mechanic, but that's just because the Belgian mechanics were able to fix my car and the French ones weren't. So I don't think that that's a wrong observation. Although the downside with my mechanic is that he doesn't speak English, and I really don't speak French, or not French, but Dutch that well. So we communicate to each other in French, and it's just interesting because I don't know any of the car words in French. So I don't know the word for tire. I don't know the words for anything. So whenever I have to go there, it's more like me pointing like this, there's something wrong with it. Oh yeah, that works. But still, that takes time because then they have to come with me to my car and I have to point, and it takes an amount of patience that not everybody has, but my mechanic has that. So I'm very, very grateful for their patience and willingness to work with me, which is why now that I've moved and there's technically a mechanic that's closer, I don't care. I'm going to that one because they are just so incredible and I love them. They are amazing. They're all super sweet. Hello, Tuna. I'm so happy you came to visit me. You can be YouTube famous. Probably like, I don't care. I just came here to sleep. Pet me. I know. We're still talking about distributors.
We require you to have a very broad product range in paints. We want you to have machines to make special colors or specific colors. We want you to have experienced, well-trained staff.
Hello. Let's see. I can't read when the names are so far away. It's inconspicuous.
And then also high-priced products.
I can't English anymore, apparently, either. Inconspicuous logo.
Watches, for example.
Hey, hello.
So that is a
Yeah, we have somebody new.
easy to use model when you have to decide what you want, what kind of distribution you want. And you link it and
Prince Charming is camera shy, and doesn't want to be in a video. Actually, I had a video where I recorded and he came in and interrupted me, and I got really excited because I thought, well, maybe he let me use his voice, and he said no, not even his voice. However, I have talked to him about it, and he has tentatively said yes, that if I get 100,000 subscribers, that he might consider coming on a video. But I think his idea of coming on a video will just be him saying hello and then leaving, which is a completely different idea than what I had in my head, where I'd sit down and interview him. But I don't think that that's gonna happen, because as he said, you know, YouTube and all the creative stuff is my thing, and it's not his thing, and that's okay. Time to read a Mr. Beast comment telling everybody to sub. Everybody should sub. I'm delightful. Truly, I am. I mean, as you can see, I'm a very studious student. I am obviously paying so much attention to my class right now. I'm not. Aw. Well, you know, I think for some people, just the idea of being on camera is just like, eh. And so, yeah, I can understand. Well, no, I don't understand where your wife is coming from, because I don't have an issue with being on camera. But I can sympathize, because I know people who don't like to be on camera. And that's something, I think it's sort of weird when, well, okay, let me rephrase that. I understand people's curiosity, but I also think that there are some people out there who sort of force their partners to be like, come on camera, people want to see you. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, even if I were to hit 100,000, and I'm saying that he would do this, at the end of the day, if he said he still wouldn't want to do that, I'm not going to force him. So be contented with my cat. Lucky, I have a cat. Her name's Tuna. Coffee cooking. Like coffee cookies? What's a coffee cookie? Is that a speculus? Oh, did you do St. Nicholas since you're from Belgium? I got to do St. Nicholas, and now we have, like, not the crappy speculus by the big company that does them, but like speculus from like a mom and pop shop, and oh my god, they're so good. I love them so much. Yeah, but the chocolate that you get for St. Nicholas, it's not that good. I'm not gonna lie. My kids have so much of it, and it sort of reminds me of the crappy chocolate that I used to get for Easter. But the cookies are so good. Coffee cookies. Okay, I'm going to. Can I? Yes, I can. Copy. Pastry. Let's paste. Well, a coffee cookie to me is a ginger snap. Oh, okay, that's not what I was thinking of at all. It's a pastry. Actually, I think I've had that. I didn't okay, are those supposed to go with coffee? Okay, well, sleep well, Shane. Seems odd saying that so early in the morning, but hope you have a good day and all that. Or not a good day because your day's over, but have a good night, sleep tight, slaap lekker. Oh no, I have. I didn't realize that they're considered a cookie. Because I see those all the time. I just don't think to get those. I like them. But I think I tend to eat things in weird ways that you don't eat them in Belgium. So like pannenkoeken, for me that's a breakfast item and it's not a dessert. And I think it's really weird that you eat it for dessert because it's a breakfast item. Same with waffles. That's not a dessert. That is a breakfast item. Night, Shane. You're really heavy. Just an FYI. But that's the pastry is the dessert, right? You had like a sandwich or something with more substance, right? Because sugar isn't good for you. You need a sandwich and some soup and like a side of little carrots and tomatoes. Okay, no, I will fight the waffle thing. Oh my goodness, that's like the biggest pet peeve of mine. Because I like to go to cafes and get coffee because I like what you've done with coffee. Because you have coffee verkeerd, which is wrong coffee, which is just hilarious to me. I love it. But that's the coffee that I always get. And then the cafes will always have waffles, but they will not serve them in the morning, despite the fact that it is a breakfast item.
Secondly, because you want to keep your status and your image high, so you make this a rare product, which is not available everywhere.
Oh, you're such a pretty kid.
Going to the services, on top.
No, I fight with Belgians a lot about their, sacred food. Sort of like fries. They would be so much better if they put cheese on the fries instead of all their mayonnaise-based dipping sauces. Cheese. Also, some chili would be good. Curly fries. Like different types of seasoning. Yeah. See, I made somebody mad. Yes. Fries and cheese are so delicious. It was like the other day I wanted a milkshake and we got some fries and I was using my milkshake as a dipping sauce for the fries and my husband looked at me like I was insane, as if using a milkshake as dipping sauce for your fries was weird when it's not. It's completely and 100% normal. Okay, a grilled cheese sandwich with tomato soup is 100% normal. You know what's abnormal is adding meatballs to your tomato soup. Like, that is so odd to me because at that point, it's not tomato soup anymore. It's more like spaghetti sauce and meatballs, except the spaghetti sauce is too thin. And there's also no grilled cheese with it. Just why?
If you make a deal, if you sell something to a country somewhere in West Africa, for example.
Like, that's one of the things that when I was in France, because I lived in France for 10 years, the French have this wide variety selection of cheese, and it's all delicious, their cheese. Except they never had cheddar cheese, and I love cheddar cheese, but they never had it. And they still don't have it. Well, they don't have good cheddar cheese that I've found so far in Belgium.
So that's
Yeah, ranch goes great with everything. I wouldn't dip it in pizza though. But the ranch dipping sauce is good. It's a type of spiced, it's like a creamy white sauce. I have to look up exact. You're in my way. Yeah, we'll just say it's a white creamy sauce. You can put it on salads, and it's also good for buffalo wings, for example. When you get the spicy kind, you dip it in ranch sauce to sort of help with the spice so your mouth doesn't explode from the heat. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen ranch over here. I normally have to make my own. And to make your own ranch sauce, it's basically like plain yogurt, pickle juice, the provincial spices, and that's my homemade version of ranch. But it's not the same kind of ranch that I have in the US. Yeah, it's American. It's delicious. Like pumpkin pie. Like, you also don't have that here, and you make soup with pumpkin. That's different. Cool American Doritos. For the ranch. Oh my goodness. I've never had ranch Doritos. I only ever got the nacho flavors, because that was, or the cheesy nacho, which I think here is just called cheese or something. Yeah, the flavors here are so different because you have paprika flavored potato chips, which, like, I don't want to say that doesn't exist back home, but if it did, I never noticed it. And it's an odd flavor, paprika. Now, I miss my, cheddar and sour cream potatoes, which doesn't exist over here. Yeah, but still, I've never looked at a chip and thought, I wish this tasted like a vegetable. Likewise, you can get like roasted chicken flavored potato chips, and those must sell really well because I see them all the time. And you have salt and pepper potato chips, and I also don't like those. I only get the salted flavor because that's like the only taste that I can really enjoy, because the other ones are just, they taste too weird for me. They're not very palatable. But I'm also not a big chips person. Oh, my children love the ketchup potato chips. That was funny to me. That's not a flavor that I would think of. But I will say that when it comes to ketchup, like, Belgians make the best curry ketchup. Like, that is not a combination that I ever would have thought of, but oh my gosh. Curry ketchup is so delicious. And the frikandel, oh my gosh. So, oh my gosh. I could have a frikandel for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I would be happy. How can you not like the curry version? It's so yummy. Frikandel is delicious. Oh my gosh. And then, what is it? I think it's a Wurstenbroodje. It's like the hot dog thing wrapped in like a pastry type thing. It's so delicious. my goodness, I'm so jealous. I haven't had a Frikandel in, I think, since I moved here. But also there's a pandemic, and so I'm trying really hard not to go out to places. Not because I'm necessarily afraid of a virus, I just don't like going out. And so the pandemic works well for me. Like, I know other people are struggling, and I'm really sorry, and I sympathize. But, you know, if you're an introvert that doesn't like going outside, this is like the perfect time. Especially with the pandemic, everybody's staying away from each other. So nobody wants to talk. And if they see you, they're just like, hey, and then you just say, hey, and then you walk on by. It's so amazing. Well, I used to have, like, let's see, there was 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there were 5 fry shops, and no, there was more than that. I think there were 2 more. 7 in like the little area that I knew, and I think that there were more on the other side of town, but I never went there because it was, quote, too far. But yeah, so 7 fry shops. They were all equally delicious. I just didn't really go there. But here, we live in the middle of nowhere. It's a tiny, tiny little town, and the only like thing that we have is a church where the bells ring. You should be hearing it like in 20 minutes because it's constantly ding, ding, ding. And the next town over, I don't think we have a fry shop. We have some restaurants, and the restaurants serve fries, but like a proper fry shop, we don't have one there. So we'd have to go to the other one, and the other place is farther away. Okay, but I don't live in Poperingen anymore. In Poperingen, we had like 7 fry shops. We had everything. We had this amazing beer store that sold this vast collection of like family-owned beer company beers. So it wasn't like the crappy InBev beers. It was all these beers from Poperingen, from Watu, from West Flanders. It was awesome. And then we had all these amazing chocolate shops. But now I live in Lorrainen, and there's like, I can get honey. That's what I discovered. Our neighbors, they sell honey, like homemade honey from their bees, which is just up the road. Like, I've seen the bees. The only bad thing is that I guess there was a really bad spring or something, and so they didn't get any winter honey. So I'm not going to have good honey until next year, and that sucks because their honey was delicious. And I recently discovered like honeycomb, and oh my gosh, it's so much better than the crappy honey that I've been eating for years. But that's all we really have in Lorrainen is honey. And that's it. Oh, and then there are lots of eggs. Like, all my neighbors have chickens, and their chickens give them too many eggs, and so they give me eggs. I really like that. But then I sort of feel like I need to give them something back in return, so I've been making lots of cakes. So they get cakes in return. Okay, I have so many questions. You went to McDonald's and ended up in the hospital. Like, from the food, were you doing something and you fell? Like, what happened? Oh. I'm sorry that you got hurt. Oh, that must have been terrifying. But see, thankfully, you live in Belgium. And so you actually went to the hospital. See, if that happened to you in the United States, you'd probably first go home and wonder if you should go to the hospital. That was like, I broke my foot because I got up in the middle of the night to go pee, and there was this freaky shadow in the dark, and I thought it was a monster. But, you know, sometimes that happens. You see a pile of clothes, it looks like a person, but then the shadow moved. And so it scared me. I jumped back, and then I fell and broke my foot. It wasn't fun. And I actually went to the hospital. And I only did that because we live in Europe. A McAmbulance? They actually call him a McAmbulance? Oh my goodness. I love this story so much. I mean, it's horrible that you fell and you had to go to the hospital. But the fact that they said call a McAmbulance. Oh my goodness. And yes, it is McGreat. Oh my goodness. Just... Okay, so... Oh. Oh yeah, because you said that you were in 9th grade, so that makes you, like what, 15, 16?
This is an example of younger children actually creating their own bear. They create their own bear, and by doing that,
Oh.
they create their own bear. The children are giving birth to their own, doll or bear, which is something you cannot.
Okay, inconspicuous. Why don't you have access to a McDonald's? I mean, I know that there aren't that many in Belgium. Because I think the one that we go to is like 20 minutes away now, which is closer because before we went to one in France because that one was closer.
It's very personal. It's something new.
Really? That's surprising because I found that, okay, I will say that the McDonald's that I've experienced in France and in Belgium, it's like they don't know how to take orders. It sort of reminds me of Burger King back in the States, because if you go to Burger King, there's like this general accepted knowledge that you don't customize your order because they're not going to get it right. And I feel like that's how it works in France and in Belgium, because I always ask for sandwiches without sauce, and there's like a 30% chance that I'll get a sandwich without sauce.
So they have ad stores and they have ad online shops. They have an extended product range online, so they offer more online product range than what
They have weird menus.
But in the stores, you can check.
Yeah, I'm in class. See? Oh, bike tune that. See, and I'm listening. It's just not that interesting.
So what
See?
ICE Adventure Group or Retail Concepts Group here does is they say, well, listen, the client is...
But like realistically, me talking and doing streaming online is about the same attention that I would give to my classes if I wasn't even streaming, because I would just be online talking to people on Instagram or something. I mean, I love my classes, but right now we're in Introduction to Marketing, and from what I've understood from the other students, it's not necessarily something you can study for. You just sort of need to know it. And then the next class is International Trade and Payment Procedures, which is just paperwork. It's not fun. And then it's Introduction to Marketing again. I think everybody sort of has a low motivation for school. Because I think my class is made up of 40 people, and right now there's only 28 people in the class. And this class actually has a high attendance because he won't record the classes. But for yesterday's class, which is law, I think at the end of it, there was only 11. Yeah, well, you have a high motivation because you get to go to classes. Like, this would be so different, I feel like, if I could go to classes. Because this is just like, I hate to say, a lot of the stuff that the teachers are talking about is just them talking about something that, for me, I understand, just because this has been something that I've been doing now for 3 years for YouTube and whatnot. And so, for example, yesterday in law, our teacher spent 30 minutes talking about the obligations of a buyer, which is to pay and to have a place of delivery. And it took him 30 minutes to say those two things. Okay. Okay, so yeah, technically Vives is a subsidiary of KU Leuven, so my exam period is in January. So yeah, and I'm going to be studying through the block via, well, the whole thing is I don't even know what our exam whole thing is even going to look like, so that's a hard question to answer because we haven't even gotten the schedule for our exam period yet, because it was ready, but then the government gave new standards, and so they had to redo it. And I only have one teacher who has, and it's actually this teacher, the marketing teacher, who has said, we're just going to do an online open book test. And that's the most relaxing one because I don't need to figure out where the heck I need to go for the test. And as far as I know, the reason why they haven't released the schedule is because they don't know where they're holding the tests. Because I guess there needs to be a capacity of like 1/5. And they're looking to rent out some rooms, but my understanding is that even those rooms, even if they can hold a certain amount of people with the regulations and whatnot, it's significantly less than what they would like. Well, I think most of mine are going to be like in person. That's just, I have 9 tests and only 1 is going to be online. The problem is I don't know what's going on yet. And so that's incredibly stressful and not fun. Also, I don't know what half the tests are like. Because they give these very vague, this is what your test is like, it's written. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Like, are we talking multiple choice written, true and false written, like essay written? I don't know. And then even if you ask the teachers, like, hey, what is the test going to be like? They give even vague answers. And that's something I'm not enjoying because at least in the States, normally the teachers would just give you a past exam and say, okay, this was last year's exam. If you know the information on this test and nothing is difficult for you, then you'll pass the exam and you know what the exams are going to be like. See, I don't agree with that because I feel like the exams here, like you don't even have to get a high grade on it. You just need a 10. Now, I'm taking business management and entrepreneurship. And so this semester I have introduction to marketing, product innovation, international law, communication, Excel, Microsoft Word, German, accounting, and I'm missing 2 classes, but I can't remember. You see, that's what I was thinking too. Like, I was freaking out because we had a like a midterm in November, and I got an 11, and I was freaking the heck out because I was like, oh my God, I failed this test because everything's out of 20. And I was contacting people to find out, like, oh my God, what happens when you fail? And they were saying, you didn't fail, you got an 11. I said, well, yeah, but that's failing. And they said no. And I was shocked by this, like mind blown. Also, if you fail a course, you only have to retake that course. You don't have to redo the whole year, which also like shocking to me. Also shocking, you only need a 10. Like, oh my goodness, like I couldn't believe it. And it seems, I don't know, when I've been talking with my teachers, most of the time I'm making things way more difficult than when they need what they need to be, that my teachers have actually told me, like, you need to chill out. It's not that difficult. You're making it too difficult and taking it to like a PhD level. Well, here's the whole thing with the whole score is that I think there's a difference because the perfect score in the US, it's still difficult to get. It's just there's this high expectation that if you don't get it, you fail. And you really do, because it screws you up for everything. Like if you don't have an A, like the B is just a bad grade. The C is crap. And if you get a D, which is sort of like the 60 percentile, you failed the course. And I would say that there's this competitiveness with excellence that I grew up with, that it's so difficult coming over to Belgium where everybody's just like, well, you only need 50%. So I don't think it's more difficult because, well, if you already know going into it that, first of all, you're not going to get a 20%, then why bother even attempting to get the 20%? So you can focus your studying on, okay, I only need to get 50%. So at least for me, I'm not going to study for the purposes of getting 20. I'm going to study for the purposes of getting 50% because what's the point? Oh yeah. Well, no, 11 is failed. Like, I mean, like the whole thing is, I grew up with this concept of second place is the first loser. So if I got a 19 out of 20, I still would have been upset because that's a bad grade. Yeah, that makes no sense to me. Like, I don't understand the purpose of taking away points if you get something wrong. I mean, especially, I can understand maybe in certain courses, maybe, but particularly in mine, since we're doing business, it makes no sense. And I don't know if this is connected, but it's something that I think about, that a lot of the teachers complain about the fact that the students don't participate in class. And I will say whatever pops into my mind. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. And the teachers will still complain, nobody participates in class. But, you know, if you grow up with this system that if you give a wrong answer, you're going to have points taken away from you, why would you ever answer unless you were 100% sure that you had the right answer? Like, that's... It's like it's contradictory. And not only that, but I think it's a really bad principle to put into somebody's mind who's going to go into business, because like so much of business is just troubleshooting problems, and you never know what's going to be a bad or dumb idea. Oh my gosh, yeah, I feel like the one test that I did take and I got the 11, I feel like I got the 11 because I absolutely refuse to leave an answer blank, even though I wasn't entirely sure about the answer, because that to me is just stupid. No, that's something that when we, my understanding is after exams, we have teacher evaluations. The teachers who do that, I'm leaving negative evaluations because of that, because that is just so many levels of dumb. No. No, I have strong feelings about some of the practices that are done in Belgium, I have to say. Like, I sometimes feel that maybe I'm projecting my Americanisms, and I don't like to do that because I don't think that's kind. But at the same time, I feel like I'm paying money to go to school here, so like I should be getting what I want out of my education, not feeling like I'm being ripped off. So it's difficult. Oh yeah, that's the same in our classes. Like nobody participates in the online classes. Nobody wants to have their cameras on. Nobody wants to talk on mic. And it's really interesting because, you know, from one perspective, I look at it as like a potential business owner, that the students in my class who I know are intelligent, who I know are very amazing people, but they have this very, we're going to say introverted personality online, that I think that's something that they need to work on, because in a business setting that won't work. The only math courses that I really have are accounting. But my program is also, it's business management and entrepreneurship. So I don't know what your exact course is. Because to be perfectly honest, even though it says entrepreneurship, and I put that in quotes, I don't feel like there's a lot of entrepreneur stuff going on. Like, I know that for the third year, we have a business project that we need to do, which, you know, cool. But in terms of the classes, we're not entirely learning anything right now outside of accounting, mind you, that is useful enough that I can take and apply to what I'm currently doing now. It's all just like the international trade and payment procedures. I honestly will never use that. If I ever get to a place where my company is that big, I would just hire somebody. But I don't see me getting that big because that's not my goal. And I think class is over. The marketing stuff is pretty useful to know the theory behind the stuff of things that I just sort of learned on the way. But really the only useful class that I'm learning is accounting. And it's just accounting right now. There's probably, I'd have to look at what we're doing next year. Do you have CSR? I don't know what that is. What is that supposed to be? Well, you know, inconspicuous, it's really funny because I've sort of noticed that I feel like my Americanisms will probably serve me really well with business in Belgium because we come from that capitalistic mindset, which doesn't seem to be strong in Belgium. No, but that might be for next year, because I'm only in my first year. But I don't think that there will be ethics classes, because with my marketing teacher, I had this whole discussion about razors, because they're really into Gillette, and Gillette is a company that I personally wouldn't want to support, just because I find the fact that they charge more money for a pink razor for a woman to be stupid. And he was saying, well, what's wrong with that? And it's sexist, for starters. And he didn't understand my point of why that's dumb, because if your customer is willing to pay more, why not charge them more? And so that's something that, at least for me personally, I think is important. No matter what I do, but my plan is to go more in the direction of publishing, which is completely different from all the stuff that we're focused on in the classes, because it's all tech and technology or like food-based. I want to go into books. I'd also like to stay digital, so that I wouldn't have things like transport costs, because that adds pollution to the environment. That if I have a global business, I want it to be as digital as possible, because that for me is more sustainable than if you're hiring like a ship to transport a bunch of products to somewhere else. Will you take economy later? I don't recall economics being one of the courses. But let's see if I can find it, because that should be easy enough to locate, because I think they tell us what we take. I'm looking it up now. But it's interesting that you're going to KU Leuven, because I'm attending Vives, which is the subsidiary of it. It's this one that I'm taking. But from what I understand, the curriculum. This program that I'm taking is pretty new. I think this is the 3rd year that it's been running. Okay, so the focus of my course is entrepreneurship, tax and legal, management, ICT skills, communication, and then personal development. And I'm looking and I'm not seeing any economics. So the entrepreneurship stuff that we take will be like marketing and product development, things like that. But yeah, I'm not seeing economics, anything. Oh, we have financial analysis in our 3rd year. Risk management. Yeah, there's lots of management crap. Yeah, oh, here, I'll just read all through them. It says, like, for next year, because I definitely don't have it this year, but there's international organization and total quality management, sales training, import, export, financial management, accountancy 2. Oh no, I have to continue with that. Accountancy 1 is so hard. Boo. Okay, international taxes. That's probably going to be law again. Strategic management and innovation processes, market managing 2, market research and talent development, workshop market research, MS Excel 2. Oh, I have to take Excel again, boo. And then we have the communications because we have to take 2 languages, except I have an exception because I can speak Dutch, and so I'm only taking German. And so, oh no, we have business ethics and research methods. So that's year 2. And then let's see, for the 3rd year, it's the supply chain, risk management, e-marketing and e-commerce, doing business outside of Europe, financial analytics, cost and management, creative and innovation, labor, social, and then the languages, then human research, internship, and creative business project. Oh, the statistics. Okay, so that's going to be the economics. Ooh, hit the camera. So yeah, that'll be all my classes. Unless I get out of certain ones. Because I don't think the internship is necessary. Well, there are certain classes that you can get out of them. For example, we have this practical orientation training that normally I would need to take next semester, except that I signed up for the social media team, so I wouldn't have to do it. We're taking philosophy. I took economics in high school. I don't remember it being that bad. Because next semester we should have international law and European law. Oh no, we should. That's comparable economics. We will have it. It is next semester. So there you go. It's there. I would assume most people are from Belgium because, well, I think the better question is why is nobody at class? Okay, anyway, guys, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm going to go eat lunch, so I'm ending the live stream. But if you want to come back and chat, I will be coming back at like 2. So thank you all and have a wonderful day, and maybe I'll see you guys later. Ta-da! Bye!